never know whether it's actually live. I feel like it's live. What do you think? Guys, are we live?
I hope so.
We better be live. We're here. Oh my gosh, we're so excited. When you guys jump on, make sure you say what's up. Let us know where you are from, where you're tuning in from. Where are we right now?
We're in San Francisco.
Oh my God,
we're both speaking at the North Cal Fitness Summit. Day one of the event. I smoked this morning.
Yes.
Regan's speaking tomorrow.
Yes.
And having an epic conversation.
We were.
During lunch.
We
sharing
were.
a lot of insights.
I know,
yeah.
I know, it's so exciting. And I feel it's so exciting that we get to do this in person because we chat so much and we've done so many like cool little interviews and conversations, but it's been like over the phone and stuff, right? And now it's like, ta-da,
yes.
It's the coolest. What's up, Tara? Where are you guys tuning in from? Let us say hi, say what's up. Let us know where you are tuning in from right now. We are in, I keep going to say San Diego. We're not. We're in San Francisco.
San Francisco, yes.
San Francisco, speaking at this amazing event. And we wanted to share some nuggets with you guys around, what do we call it?
Wow, it's such a complicated play on words.
We called it comedy.
Comedy.
Comedy, intuition. Guys, what else? What else is it called? It must be called something else. Comedy, intuition.
Facing your fears.
Facing your fears.
And our
oh, and the conversation we had at
secret lunch.
The
yes.
secret lunch conversation, right?
Exactly.
So where do you think we start with all of that?
Well, I could talk about what I shared this morning when I did my speech.
Yes.
You know, for the past few years, I've been called to do stand-up comedy. And this voice inside me said, you have to get on stage, do stand-up, and perform.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I hesitated for a very long time because I've always been so scared to do stand-up.
Right.
Last weekend, literally 7 days ago, I did my first stand-up comedy performance, and my whole life changed. You know, I overcame this huge fear, and all of a sudden, I gained a new superpower.
Right.
And I was asking Regan if she's had some internal nudges to do certain things, and what doors did they open when you did face those fears?
Yeah, totally. I think it's massive. And there's so many things, right? Because it's funny because AJ said to me, would you ever do a stand-up comedy?
Yeah. I think you're pretty funny.
Yeah. I don't think I'm that funny. Definitely not that good at being funny, you know, naturally. But I was like, wow, like now I think about it, that would be something where I would be uncomfortable. Like that would literally be like, oh gosh, this makes me push out of my comfort zone. But I think it's so important to do that. I think it's so important to tune in and really listen to what are those nudges that you can tune into for you, which are pushing you towards the things which are going to grow you. And I feel like there's a lot of things for both of us. I feel like we're constantly doing something, right? Like every time we catch up and chat, it's like, oh my God, I just did this thing, and oh my God, we just lit this, and oh my God, we just did this, and it was so uncomfortable. But
constantly
like,
growing,
that's how you grow,
expanding,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the big topic of conversation is when you have these nudges or you're called to face these fears. Right, I mentioned a great quote from Joseph Campbell during my presentation. The cave you fear holds a treasure you seek.
Right.
Where does that feeling come from when you have that insight or wanting to do something?
Totally.
Is it internal, external?
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of different things going on. Like we were talking about at lunch, right? I think there's a lot. But look, I think there's a lot of internal feelings which are driven from your soul, right? Which are driven from past experiences, and some of them are helpful and they guide you forward, and others can actually be feelings which hold you back. And then I also think that as humans and as beings, we're super connected to lots of different realms as well. And I think we have the ability to tap into different resources and information which is available, which may be coming through and showing up as feelings or as nudges or as intuitions. And what's interesting is, you know, we were just talking right about Vegas and obviously the crazy, horrible stuff that went on with the shootings there recently. And I was saying that I was meant to be in that room, actually where the guy was shooting from. And I was about to go, and then I literally just felt like, you know what? Like, gosh, what is that? This is so loud.
Vacuuming.
Vacuuming is very much, okay, let's bring it closer. Okay. We
Okay.
can't have vacuuming taking over right now, right? Okay. Great, you can hold this. Here we go. Can you guys hear us? Give us some love if you can hear us, all right? Because there's an extreme vacuuming. We can walk around either. So anyway, guys, with Vegas, I really felt this nudge, just like, don't go. And I ended up not going, right? And staying back and just chatting to people and relaxing. And sure enough, that was like literally where everything happened, which was crazy. So I feel like there is more. There's divine guidance, there's divine intuition, there's divine connection to source, which we're all connected to. And everyone, this is not like a God-given gift, like everyone has the ability to connect like this. It's just choosing to tap in that way, right?
That is very powerful.
Oh my God, these vacuum cleaners. Should we walk? What do you think?
Yeah, let's walk.
Okay, we're going to take you guys for a walk.
Or actually, just
now
stop.
it's going to stop, of course. It's so funny.
We really wanted it to stop. So
You probably heard us being like, who are you vacuum cleaners?
So the question is, like, we have these nudges, these internal messages. How can we strengthen them? How can we get more clear on what they are exactly?
Totally. Look, I think it comes down to tuning in daily, right? I think it really comes to tuning in and really looking at what am I doing daily in order to connect and in order to be available. You know, I'm finding so much can happen if I literally just sit down and choose to be available. And you were talking about this as well. We were talking about meditation and how AJ will meditate for how long? Like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour longer.
Yeah, but 20 minutes, sometimes up to an hour.
Yeah.
And it's like this amazing connection I have. I just dissolve into the universe. It's like a unique feeling. Lose track of time and space.
Yeah, it's amazing. And here's the thing, I really believe through meditation or breath or however you're getting there, right? Ceremony even, it's not about creating that connection. It's actually just about becoming available to the connection that's already there, right?
Exactly. It's like you're tuning in, right? It's the ability to kind of take off the filter, right?
Yeah,
the layer
totally.
that's blocking you from that specific communication. Yeah.
Yeah, it's available all the time. And you guys know, like, how many times have you been really in flow, right? And everything's just moving and flowing, and then you have a great idea, and then you trust something, and then you move, and then someone says something great, and then you meet this person, and you're in that, like, flow state, or I call it super flow states, right? Versus the times when you're not, and, like, something bad happens, and then you focus on something else, and then you try and fix it, and it doesn't work. You're just disconnected. It doesn't mean the connection's not there. It just means you've disconnected from it at some point, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's say someone's in a part of their life that they feel very disconnected and they're uninspired, perhaps they're struggling. How can they regain their connection and have that clarity again?
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways to do it. Like we just talked about tuning in and giving yourself space and actually choosing firstly to become available. Like I feel like if you watch this and you're like, oh, that's me, I'm disconnected, but then you run around still being disconnected, then nothing's going to change. Versus if you sit down and say, you know what, like I actually am going to choose to become more connected to source, more connected to my intuition, more connected to, you know, operating and living from my soul, right? So I think it's a choice, and I think something that's really helped me as well is getting around people who get it, you know, like, I don't know, every time we hang out, it's just like, oh my God, this and that, and then AJ's got this idea, and I have this, and there's like, you know, this, and and it's like this whole big thing, right? But that's because we put ourselves in environments where we're around people like ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you find that in terms of
environment?
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, at any moment you get a different conversation with someone, you know, especially someone who's on a very high wavelength, you're on a whole different frequency, but you bring out the best in each other. The ideas, the insights, the vision, and at the same time, it's that old adage, steel sharpens steel, right? So you're pushing each other to a higher level of consciousness, higher conversation, and it's the same thing, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I'm the type of person who likes deep conversations.
Right.
I hate small talk.
Yeah.
How's the weather? Oh, it's this day of the week. Oh, it's Monday.
Right.
That's bullshit. Like, tell me about the secrets of the universe. Tell me about aliens and evolution and life on this planet. Like, I'm fascinated with super deep stuff. You know?
Totally. And tell these guys a little bit about how you got there, because I'm sure there's people sitting there going, yeah, like I love that stuff too, but I don't have those people around me. I'm not at this place right now hanging out with you guys. Like, my friends don't understand me. Like, I think I'm a little bit crazy even, right? So I'm sure that you've, I guess, curated your environment in that way. So what was the process for you, and like, how have you done that?
Well, you know, let's talk about how we connected in person. About a year ago, I hosted a seminar in New York, and you were one of my guests.
Yes.
So that is one method, having a live event, inviting high-level people to attend with you. If you cannot put on a live event, you invest to go to a live event. Just like, you know, it's about 200 people here in San Francisco coming together, and everyone is on a high consciousness because they want to improve themselves. They want to have deep conversations, have a better business, have a better life.
Right.
So it's, you know, obviously going where the eagles go, right? So you can soar like the eagles. If you go where the chickens go, you know what's going to happen there.
I love that. Chickens are bad in this context. It's so true. And I've found as well, it's also about choosing to release people that no longer serve you. And that might be energetically, not just physically. Like, you might say, well, I can't release my mother, right? Or I can't release like my family friends that come around to my house every day or whatever, right? But you can release someone energetically, and you can actually physically be in someone's space, but it doesn't mean you need to share everything with them. It doesn't mean you need to expect them to get you, right? I think so many people are trying to make their environment into this like amazing high-level connected environment when really they're just not the right people. And you can still love those people, by the way. You can still say, you know what, my parents, or if it's your siblings or whatever, like, you know, I love you for who you are, but that's cool. I'm going to go get my fix of like connected, amazing conversation somewhere else, like you're talking about, right?
Exactly. It's that intuitive feeling, right? So if someone makes you feel good and they lift you up, you pull them close. If they bring you down, you push them away. I mean, not physically pushing them away.
Oh, you can
but
push them.
Yeah, sure, you could. Here in the States, that's a crime. It's assault and battery.
It's true. Don't push them. We're not giving advice.
We don't condone assault. But absolutely. I mean, it's that feeling, just like when Regan and I hang out, it's like this amazing conversation, great insights. We walk away enlightened, feeling better. And also like our beliefs are solidified, right? Because if someone has the same belief as you and you have the same conversation, you're like, okay, then it's definitely true. If you're debating with someone, or if they're saying, oh, that's bullshit what you believe in, I don't believe in that, you know, obviously they're conflicting with you, and that will dilute your beliefs.
Exactly. And it's also loving on your environment when you do create this. Like, I think some people create the environment and then they kind of take it for granted, to be honest. Like, we just had this amazing lunch, right? With that secret conversation, which we may or may not talk to you guys about, because it's a secret.
High level,
high level secret conversation. But at the end, I was like, thank you so much for listening to me, AJ. Like, thank you for sharing. Like, that was really beautiful, right? Like, we kind of really
I was grateful you listened to me too, because I was sharing some stuff and I was like, wow, you know, you get it, you know, you understand it, so.
And it's honoring each other in that, and actually saying, wow, like, thank you, I see you, like, I honor you and appreciate you, rather than just going, yeah, well, of course you listen to me, you know, right?
Yeah, because that's the whole thing, right? If someone is present with you, they're listening, and they're contributing to the conversation, you just go and go and go, you open up, or you open the floodgates. You know, at the same time, you speak to someone, and they're judging you, or there's like this energetic feeling that you're not being heard, you close up, you know?
Totally.
And obviously having good conversations with really amazing people is a rare thing. That's why, like, I cherish them, you know? It's like every chance I get, I do that, because I know that both of our lives get enhanced in the process.
Exactly. So do you think we should tell them about the secret conversation?
I think we should do another live on that. And hold off, because they ain't ready for it yet. I mean, that's like,
you guys got to give us some love if you even want an inkling of what we were talking about.
Absolutely. if there's some fascination in the comments, we'll do a part 2 and go deep into that secret conversation, because
you still want to keep it secret.
It's you know, they ain't ready for it yet. So.
Oh. Someone put some love on there. It's so funny. I love it. Well, one part of what we were talking about is really, I guess, acknowledging this journey of realizing that, you know, we've both been, how long have you been in this work for? Over 10 years, right?
Yeah, definitely. Over 10 years,
Exactly. And so same here, and really acknowledging that there's such a journey along the way and seeing our own growth. And there's definitely been moments where we both speak, we both coach, we both create content, and we both feel like, sometimes it's not really us, right? It's more like something comes through us, and it's amazing and it's powerful, and on stage people are like, wow, or a client's like, wow, how did you know that? But it's this beautiful space where it's realizing it's not us. And I feel like there's a lot of, and this is what we're kind of talking about lunch, right? There's a lot of powerful people out there that they're doing this and they're going, wow, you know, that's me. And it's kind of, they turn it into their ego, right? And they're like, that's me, I'm so wise, I'm so smart, I'm so clever, I'm so this, I'm so that. And it's like, hang on, like, is it really you, or is it the world trying to come through you, right?
Yeah.
Speak on it.
Absolutely, 100%. You know, this morning, as a great example, I was given an hour-long presentation, and there were
that went for
parts.
Like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it went a bit longer because I lost track of time and space.
Right.
You know, I didn't plan on talking about certain subjects. They came through in an improvisational way.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about those things, I was not aware. I was not. It's like I didn't even know I knew that. Where did it come from? Right. So obviously, something came beyond me, through me, to pick those specific words in that tonality in that way of expressing it. And most people, because I do a lot of seminars and I have retreats in my house, and people always tell me when they come to me on the side, they're like, you know, when you just went on that tangent and you freestyled, that was your best work.
Right.
Do more of that, you know?
Right.
And I say to myself, like, damn, sometimes I spend so much time planning. I think I'm going to start just showing up and just doing it on the fly, because sometimes whatever comes through in that moment is the best content.
Exactly. And guys, drop some comments below if this is you, by the way, and if you're really resonating with this, and if you're like, wow, like I feel this power come through me too. Because I really believe everyone has access to it. It's also what we were talking about, right? It's not something where it's like, you know, it's just the gifted ones or whatever. It's like everyone has this, and like we were talking about in the beginning, the more connected you are, the more you can do this. And I think it's such a beautiful metaphor, you know, what you just said around, you know, the less you control it, the more powerful stuff comes through. And I feel like that's so critical just in life and in business, right? Like if you're sitting there and you're controlling the process and you're like, I've got to create my business and success like this, and it's got to be by talking to this person and doing this thing, and it's got to happen this way, then yeah, you might get there if you work really hard and push and struggle, but you're closing off the options that are trying to come through, right? And it's this beautiful moment of actually locking in what you desire and then surrendering to what needs to come through, because I really do believe the world's trying to support you in all of this. The world is not trying to like fuck it up for you. The world's trying to actually give you what you want. We just get in the way, right?
Exactly. You know, a line that I say often is, all you need is within you now, to an extent where like you have all that you need to constantly improve in life and to progress, and it's just letting go of what you're not, you know?
Right.
I think the more I grow, the more wisdom I take in, it's more of a subtractive process. As opposed to adding more content, adding more ideas, adding more systems. It's more of like taking stuff away so I could remove that filter and just get in touch with the source and just allow that to teach me, as opposed to getting it from external sources like books or documentaries.
Exactly. And it's so interesting. I remember I had a mentor actually that I was working with. This was like years and years and years ago. And she said to me, she said, Regan, do you understand the fundamentals of manifestation, that you're creating your external reality from within, and it's an inner game? And I was like, I totally get that. I was like, I'm all about it, right? Mindset, like shift your beliefs, overcome your fears, like I get it. And then she said to me, she's like, okay, well, if there's something you're looking to call in and create in your life, maybe it's a money goal, maybe it's an amazing relationship, maybe it's the perfect body for you, whatever that is, if you want it and it's not here in your physical reality, then quite simply there's internal blocks and limitations holding you back. And that's really the game. I think so many people are focused on, how do I do it? What do I do to get it?
What's the tactic?
Right, like all this shit on the outside, and they're like kind of focusing on all this stuff to make it happen, but they're not looking at what are the roadblocks that I need to actually remove out of this so that it can just flow really beautifully and naturally. And I feel like when you do this, all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, this is amazing. And I don't know whether you had this with your comedy stuff, because I'm sure, well, I know for me, I would have been shit terrified, right? Like I would have been like, oh my God, there's this fear of this fear of like being seen in this way, this fear of being judged, like all this stuff. And I'm going to assume, and I'm going to let you talk on it, but I'm going to assume that there was probably some internal work of removing that so that it could flow.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right?
That was totally it, because when I did my comedy performance, I was ultra present. I just felt so connected to the audience, and I was not thinking. And I think that's a big part of it, not thinking. Turning off the thinking mind and allowing what to come up. And I just felt so connected to the audience. I could have went on and on and on. Jokes and improvisational stories were just coming out of my head.
Right.
And I wasn't judging them, and I wasn't saying, well, I'm not funny, or the crowd didn't like that. I was just connected to the audience. And I think that in everything you do, when you connect in a way, just like, I just want to serve you, I want to entertain you, I want to love you and give my all to you, there's no room for thinking. There's room for limitation, you know?
Oh my God, it's so amazing. You guys should all go to his page. Is it easy to find? Just go watch it.
Yeah. You can see my stand-up comedy routines on my Facebook page. It's actually tagged in this live. Just click on it and you'll see it. And I would love to get your feedback.
Of
because,
course. Are you going to do it again?
100%. I'm going to do it again. You know, someone typed in the comments, I think it was Corinne, and she said, being in the flow. So I made a goal of my life to wake up and go to sleep and spend as much time as I can in a flow state.
Yes.
So public speaking,
I think you're doing
stand-up
pretty well
comedy,
with that goal.
live feeds, amazing epic conversations. This puts me in flow, right? So the flow is my new currency. It's not how much money do I make,
I'm
but
sorry,
how many
the
seconds.
flow is my new currency. Everyone
Yes.
just needs to freaking quote that, hashtag that, and just blow up the internet with just that. Continue.
Yeah.
I'm out. Continue.
Because if I operate at a flow state, I'm living at the highest level of bliss.
Right.
My creativity, my energy, my insights are increasing. I'm just so present to the moment that it is the best high in the world.
Oh my
so
gosh,
how
yes.
can I use flow as my currency and put myself in more conversations, environments, and settings where flow just flows?
So how do people
Yeah.
do that? Like, I know there's people watching or watching the replay of this going, okay, like I'd love to be more in flow, like I get it, but like I feel like everything's disjointed and I have to push and make it work. Like, where do they start with getting into flow?
I think the best thing to do is to look back at your life at the moments that took your breath away, where you lost track of time and space and you were fully present to the moment, forgetting about anything else but you just being there. And just start making a list of all those memories
Nice.
and situations and times in your life, and you could recreate them. Because let's say last weekend I did stand-up comedy. That entire time I was lost, I was dissolved in the moment.
Yeah.
So if I do it again, it'll happen again, right?
Wow.
Tomorrow you're speaking on stage. I've seen you speak numerous times and you're just in another world, right? So you do more of that. You do more of the things that allow you to flow.
Totally. I love that. Oh my gosh, so amazing. Corinne says, I find I start telling a story to someone and I don't realize till later that the story is speaking to something they needed to hear and pulls out something deeper inside of them, memories, truth, right?
Yes, that's
so
beautiful.
true.
Yes.
It's so true.
Great insight.
Yeah, and here's the thing, I encourage you to go deeper into that because I really believe and know that everyone has this. It's not just like, oh, some people do and some people don't. No, we all do. Like, it's just really a question of how disconnected or connected are we at the end of the day.
It's a great book. It's called Stealing Fire.
Yes.
You know,
Oh my God,
best-selling
it's such
book.
a good book.
But it's just a scientific proof that you could recreate flow states,
Right.
And that's just so amazing because
Yeah.
that's you know, the most natural high you could experience, and that's just by putting yourself in those situations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a powerful book. You guys should all go and read it. Amazing.
There's
book.
also one more great thing from that book, and also another. I love books about flow,
Yeah.
but it was mentioning how people that were in flow states were actually improving their health. You know, there was a lot of instances where cancer was going into remission because
Wow.
the person was spending time in flow.
Wow.
You know, so that's why like people see a huge decline when they retire. They give up their dream or their career,
So true.
and they go off into not doing anything.
Yeah.
Doing something, being in that flow state, just rejuvenates your mind and body.
Exactly, and it's the opposite as well. If you're not in flow, but you're stuck in fear or anxiety or worry,
Yeah.
you know, one of my biggest journeys over the past couple of years is realizing that if I don't process that emotion, it doesn't just disappear; it goes into my body. And this has been big work for me because I think 2-3 years ago, I was the girl who's like, I'm just gonna live in bliss. I'm just the queen of bliss. Like, I don't want to hear about your anger or your sadness or any of mine, right? And I was literally just like, I would have stuff come up and I'd be like, oh, I feel angry or sad. And I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not gonna tolerate that. So I just shut it down. But I put it in my body and I'd store it in my body. And I really firmly believe that if I didn't get on top of that and start releasing that and start being healthy with those emotions and getting rid of it so I could be in a flow state, it would have shown up down the track. I'd be like 40, 50, 60, 70, like having all these health problems, like massively, doctors going, we don't know what's causing it. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, it's all the emotional shit I didn't process when I was in my 20s, right?
Yes. I love that. No, thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. You know, as a interesting experience, about 2 weeks ago, I was hanging out by a park near my house, and there's a little pond in the middle, and I just sit on the benches and I'm just observe and watch nature. I love being in nature. That puts me in the flow state, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
And I saw these two ducks, and all of a sudden they got closer and closer and closer, and they just started fighting with each other, just like beaking each other and clawing each other, and it was like this melee, and I was like, holy shit, these two ducks are kicking each other's asses, you know? But then once it stopped, both ducks went to the side and they started flapping their wings vigorously just to release that pent-up energy and anger, and they flew their separate ways.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa, like animals get it,
Yeah.
you know? Whereas, you know, two people could fight, whether it's verbally or physically, and all of a sudden they had this grudge, this anger.
And
the
it
ducks,
stays in your body. You feel it in your body, even if you're like, yeah, we're good. You feel it,
Yes,
right?
yes. And that creates the blockage,
Exactly.
right?
Yep, exactly. And we were talking about this today. We were talking about becoming more available, and a part of that is releasing what's holding you back, which is part of releasing these negative emotions, part of releasing
Forgiveness.
trauma that's stored in your body. And what do animals do when they're traumatized? Like, I don't know if you see like a little sheep or something, if it's been chased by a lion, it literally stands there and it shakes.
Shakes,
It
yeah.
shakes
Shake
it
it
out.
off.
It shakes it
Yeah.
off, right? Literally. But we don't do that. We go,
Yeah.
oh, that's crazy. We wouldn't do that. No, like you need
Hold
to
it in,
physically
yeah.
shake it off. You need to get it out of your body. It's crazy. It's been such medicine and such learning for me, because I was so not in that world, and I was so just like, oh, I'm just gonna like choose to like reframe it and ignore it, and I'm
Put it
fine.
under a rug.
I'll focus on something else, and I'll just create some money instead. Like, you know, it's crazy. It
Always
solves
comes
the
back.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, craziness. Oh my gosh. Where are you guys at? What are you up to? Amazing. Are you guys loving this? Is this fun? Is this an epic conversation? What else do we need to chat on? What else are you feeling? What are you seeing up there?
I'm speaking. I think the greatest thing to talk about is, you know, let's say if someone just heard about that, just, you know, they are dealing with some trauma or something in their past came up, their childhood or their parenting, you know, what is one way to release that? If they have something that's in their heart and for years and years and years, it's been holding them back.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I think there's a stack of different ways. I don't think there's one secret way to do all of it. I think there's lots of different ways, and also depending on what's going on. But I think the biggest thing to know is that whenever we store something like that from childhood or from past lives or from wherever it is, right, it creates a wound. And at the end of the day, if we want to shift and grow and evolve and raise our vibration and be more in this world and do more epic cool things and of course receive more across the board, then we need to heal these wounds. And so how I think about it is kind of like, okay, when these things come up and it's like, oh, I feel sad and I'm not sure why, or I feel angry or I feel this or that, it's like, okay, there's a wound there. And for me, I'm like, awesome, that's an opportunity for me to shine some light on that, so I can heal that, so I have the capacity to hold more light, so that I can vibrate at a higher frequency, so that I can shift and grow and evolve. And then if you do that work, your external world will start reacting around you. Literally, your external world will start going, whoa, okay, this is how she's showing up, and it will correspond accordingly. So there's so much you can do around this. I mean, you can do so much in terms of amazing mindset work. You can use NLP and hypnosis. You can use plant medicine. Like, that is literally one of the fastest ways to go super freaking deep, right?
I love my plants.
We
Yeah.
love our plants, right? No one's taking our plants away from us. But it's one of the fastest ways. It's just going to accelerate what you could do, I guess, in your own conscious being with your own mindset and limitations and all that stuff. It's going to get you there just a whole lot faster, right?
Absolutely. Because, you know, there are certain things that are very deep under the layers and they're unconscious. You know, we were talking about earlier where certain things that may have happened in your childhood or in your past that you were so traumatized by it that there's no memory of it consciously.
Exactly.
Unearthing those. And like you said, letting the light flow in, healing it, because, you know, typically people have certain problems in their life and they're looking for an external source, right? So I was in the fitness industry for over 15 years, and the biggest thing I saw were people who were morbidly obese. You know, they wanted to lose the weight, they were following diets, doing cardio, maybe they would lose some weight and gain it all back because they were looking for an external source. But this one specific woman, she was abused as a child.
Right.
And the sexual abuse caused her to put on layers and layers of body fat to insulate her from ever being hurt ever again.
Of course, yeah.
So she had to understand that.
Yep.
And from there, the moment she got that, became aware of it and started healing that, the weight started coming off, right? No diet, no workout was ever going to heal that deep wound that needed to be cleared away, because once you clear it away, everything else happened effortlessly.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing with finances, right?
Yeah,
Can I get
I
the
was
new
just
marketing
thinking that.
strategy? Can I get a way of increasing the amount of money you make every single month? It's not so much going out there, but like, what is that scarcity and financial abundance?
Right.
Why is that happening? Where did that stem
Right.
from? When you get to the root of it, you release the root and it just flows in abundance. So
Exactly. And it's realizing with the money stuff as well that energetically you can't be in a place of expansion and abundance and receiving and a place of contraction and scarcity and fear and not worrying if there's going to be enough. You can't do both at the same time. You have to do one or the other. And the crazy thing is in the world we live in right now, I really believe around the money stuff, so many people are just automatically in this default of fear, and they've been told for so many years, like, there's not enough, and you've got to struggle, and money doesn't grow on trees, and all this kind of stuff. So unconsciously, energetically, they're in this place of contraction, and even if money's trying to come in, they're like bouncing it away from them, basically. Literally, like, we see it all the time with people. We see people walking down the street, and we're like, oh shit, they're repelling money. Like, we can literally see it in people's bodies. It's kind of crazy. So
well, that's easy for you, Regan, because you're so wealthy, and of course you're financially happy. I have to pay my bills, and I can't make it at the end of the month. I don't have the business you do. So what do you say to them? They say you have it so easy.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't have it easy in the beginning, right? So it's all been created. It's not like I was just born into it or
you're
whatever.
Lucky.
Right?
No, same thing.
Yeah,
exactly
the same thing. Yeah.
Brilliant point of view. It's something externally, right? Because I think it's the same thing with love. You say, what is love? And there's 7.5 billion definitions of it, right?
Yeah.
What is money?
Yeah.
It's a story that we have about it, right? We have this amazing, elaborate story about what money is. For me personally, money flows easily and abundance all around me. I will never have an issue with money because that's how I feel it. That's how I experience it. And that's how it shows up in my life. I choose that. Exactly. But I wasn't like that always, right? In the past, it was, I don't have enough. I have to hold on to money very tightly because it's very scarce and it's a rare commodity and it's very difficult to come by. Growing up, my parents, we were poor. So at the table, it was, we're not going to have enough to pay the rent. How are we going to buy food? We have so many kids. We don't have all these bills. And I was like, oh my God, like, we're going to be homeless. We're going to be starving because that's my idea of money. It wasn't until I had to get over and heal those wounds that money started flowing to me in avalanches, right, of abundance. So.
Oh, it's so true. And this is the thing. I feel like so many people they have so much money stuff just under the surface, and it's unconscious. They're literally just unaware of it. And this is the sad thing, is they're out in the world actually trying really hard to make it happen. It's not that you guys are lazy, right? There's so many people even potentially watching this, and you're like doing the do, and you're like committed, and you got a like vision board, and you're like doing all this stuff, and you're like trying, and you're out there and you're hustling, and you're making sales, and it's just not flowing. Why? Because there's stuff under the surface which you're unaware of. And when something's in an unconscious like overdrive, it overrides everything else in your reality, and the world simply responds to that. Versus what we can do is go in, okay, what is going on unconsciously, and start being kind of like a detective, right? And start looking at, why did I just say that? Why did I just not buy that in the supermarket because I told myself I couldn't afford it? Why did I just look at the prices on the menu instead of looking at the food I wanted? Like, why am I doing this stuff? And then actually figure out what's under that, bring it to the surface, shine light on it once again, and then you can play. Then you can go, you know what? I don't choose to believe that anymore. You know what? I'm done with that. You know what? I don't tolerate that. You know what? I now choose to shop like this. You know what? I now choose to be abundant. But I feel like people are going, I choose to be abundant, but they're not looking at the stuff under the surface, right?
Yes. Great point. About bringing things to the light, because I could just go on and on by everything you said.
Bring it to the light, AJ.
The fastest way to bring it to the light is by writing it down. So when I gave my presentation this morning, I said, I've been keeping a journal for over a decade. I've not missed a day. Who else in this room keeps
a journal though, right? You got different journals?
Different journals, of course.
I was like, it's a big journal.
30 volumes of books and books and books and books. And I just want to take a quick survey. It was like, who else in this room journals? So it was Regan was one of them, and maybe 3 other people there were the other speakers there.
Right.
And I'm like, what? Success leaves clues.
Right.
Obviously, well, how I got over my money issues is when I was in those places of scarcity or blocks or had a bad month of business, I would write out my relationship with money. What is money to me? And then I would see it in my own eyes, like, what am I doing? How do I believe this? This is not true. This is bullshit. Why do I believe this bullshit? You know? Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my business. I'm gonna be homeless because I had a bad month. Like, that is nonsense, but I would never have been aware if I didn't see it in front of me. Right? So what can you do to bring it out into the light, right? Deep, open, vulnerable conversations. Journaling.
We bring our shit into the light. When we talk, I'm just like, hey Shay, like, I'm kind of struggling with this and this is going on. He's like, boom, what about this? And then he does the same, and I'm like, have you seen this? You know, like, we use our relationship to do that as well, right?
There's a great concept. It's called the speed of trust, and it's the trust that you have with the people around you accelerates the process. Okay, so if you have a safe environment with someone that you can be open with and share vulnerable things, then you speed up the healing, right? Because when there's trust, there's like, I could be and express exactly what is going on.
Exactly.
And this person's not going to judge me. They're not going to say, oh, here's my advice, do this. They understand.
Right.
So Dawn asked that exact question.
Right.
How do you learn the hidden blockages? Well, it's journaling. It's having deep, open, authentic conversations with someone that you could trust. And most importantly, looking at like the things in your life that are limited, you know, just like looking at your relationship with it. What are the stories you're telling yourself every single day about it?
Yeah, and I think one of the big things with money is look outside of money. Right? And so I often, if I'm looking at people's money stuff, I'm like, okay, let's stop looking at your money stuff. What are you doing around your health? What are you doing in relationship? What are you doing here? What are you doing there? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I get it. Okay, my money stuff is actually because I'm actually not feeling enough in this part of my life, and that's affecting my money stuff too. Like, there's so many other clues around that. I have a question for you. What the hell does money have to do with being available and being connected in your intuition? Are they completely separate? Are they relative to each other? Like, you know, what's that about?
How you do anything is how you do everything.
Boom, so write it down.
Complete alignment with abundance, how you see the world, how you act, how you speak, how you think is in full alignment with what you attract and what you repel. Right? So being in a place where I see the world as a very, very abundant place, right? So I'm at a seminar, I flew out here, you flew out here, we're not getting paid for this. We're doing this out of love of giving and helping back, right? We could be working on our business right now, but we're here, we're asking people's questions, we're doing live, we're giving. It's very abundant. We're not expecting anything in return.
Exactly.
Right? So with that
mindset,
some
love. You guys can give us love on the live stream. A love payment.
Yeah. I just want a heart on Facebook.
I just want a Facebook heart.
I will take that as a payment. Don't give me money. Show me affection.
I love it.
Yeah.
Claire, what's up? Claire says, so good to hear this today. I'm convinced that my stroke happened as a result of decades of not dealing with cumulative emotional stress. Right, now we're no doctor, but I would say there's an extremely high chance that that's true. But
you know the answers.
It's beautiful that you have that awareness now, right? So then it's not going to, hey, we're getting some love.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, so on this conversation around money and being connected, it's interesting because I look at people in the spiritual world, right? And there's a lot of people in the spiritual world that are doing amazing work out in the world, but they're kind of struggling with money, right? And there's a lot of people and
broke hippies.
Right,
yeah.
Okay, and it's like this kind of cultural thing which has gone on, and it's so interesting because it's almost like this kind of mask or thing has been created where it's like money's not spiritual, and I really believe that money is one of the most spiritual things in the world.
Absolutely.
Why? Because it's a total mirror reflection of what's going on for you internally, and I truly believe that you'll only receive as much as you believe you are worthy of. And so if you want to see where your self-worth is at, go look at your money shit. Go look at it in the mirror and look at it. Go look at your bank account and have a look at it, and go look at what you're creating in your life. Look at your business, look at this stuff. And it's like, okay, and no judgment of like, oh, I suck or anything. But
I
just
used
like,
to suck
okay,
too, so yeah, listen, you know?
Yeah, we all
nothing
think
wrong with that.
Exactly. And it's literally tuning in and looking at, oh, interesting. Okay, how can I start loving myself more? How can I start loving on myself so I can receive more, so I can believe at my core that I'm worthy and deserving of more, right? Do you find that?
100%. Self-love and financial abundance go hand in hand, right? It's the belief that you deserve the best in every experience, from how you travel and the house you live in, the car you drive. Obviously, how you treat yourself is how the world treats you as well. When you love yourself and you just basically forgive yourself for your flaws, good and bad, you become very attractive, right? Just think about a person who loves themselves when they walk into the room. They're like, wow, that person has something special. You just want to hug them. You want to be close. Yeah, exactly. You can totally feel that.
I'm like, oh, thank you.
Same goes for you. It's like this person's comfortable in their own skin. They accept their flaws, and they're just happy being. And when you're happy being, you attract more of that, you know, because people want to be around that person who's just happy with the minimal, right? They can just sit down, talk, and it's a great time. But a person who's negative, or they're moping, or they're complaining, they're very repulsive, you know? I don't like my life, and my business is not going anywhere, and this damn weather is killing me.
The world sucks.
Yes, the world sucks, the politics and all this crap. But it's like, listen, you know, you're creating this like economy of negativity, and that's going to affect everything in your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, right? every single element is created by your outlook, because it's the stories that you're creating,
Right.
and whatever you believe is going to be true.
So how do you think these guys start loving on themselves a little bit more? Because I feel like it's like, okay, cool, I get it. I'm going to look at my money stuff. I'm going to see it as a mirror. I'm going to be like, okay, no judgment. Here's where I'm at. Okay, I'm realizing if I want to expand that, I need to expand into a heightened level of self-love. Where do they start with that? I feel like self-love should be taught in school. I feel like it's not.
Yes, I'm going to steal a strategy from a good friend of mine.
Steal it.
Kamal Ravikant. He wrote a great book, best-selling book, Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It.
Yeah.
And a whole book is his experience from utter suicidal depression to flourishing, becoming successful and happy.
Wow.
And his simple practice is to loop this in your mind every single day. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. So ever since I connected with him, we became good friends, and he taught me this practice throughout the day when I'm walking through the hotel or I'm doing mundane things like putting my clothes in the laundry. It's like, I love myself. I love myself. This loop that I have, it's kind of like a default at this point.
Yeah.
And then that goes off into other things as well.
Yeah,
but I find that
beautiful.
really helps me personally.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing, and I feel like it's a continuous game. Godwin, what's up? Oh my gosh, we have people from Australia in here, like the best beings ever in the world.
Yes.
You know, I feel like it's a continuous game as well. I mean, I'm yet to find someone where they're like, yeah, you know what? I just sat down, I journaled about it for an hour, and then I was just totally in love with myself forever. You know,
Yeah,
it's a continuous game, and you're gonna get pushed around and pulled and knocked
It's like
back
any
and-
relationship,
Yeah, it is, and it's the most important relationship, right? Because we're all external on these relationships. It's just your relationship with self at the end of the day. So I'm always looking at, you know, how can I love on myself more, but also where am I not loving on myself? And there's so much, when you start becoming aware of this, guys, there's so much around your self-talk that I would never say to AJ, like, fuck, AJ, you don't really look that good in that, or like, whatever I'm saying to myself.
Exactly.
You would never say that to another human you cared about. So why are you talking to yourself like that? And again, not from a place of judgment, but from catching these thoughts and going, you know
Catching
what?
these thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, catch it and go, okay, that's interesting. That's not totally in alignment with my self-love plan, right? Okay, what do
By the way, the best way to catch yourself is to go into your bathroom, strip down naked, and just look at yourself.
Totally.
And just see what you are saying when you're looking at your flaws and
Right.
your imperfections. Just catch that, because
Yeah.
you're doing that automatically 24/7, right?
Yes.
No one is perfect, right? Obviously.
Exactly.
But when you're aware of the things you say to yourself, you would never say that to your best friend.
Exactly.
You know, if your friend stripped down naked in front of you, you wouldn't start nitpicking
Why is that
all their
it?
body parts.
What's
Yeah,
that?
your nipple
That's
is
not the
crooked.
right size.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like you would never do
Your
that.
nipple was crooked. I did.
But you do that to yourself all the time.
Right,
like,
right.
why do that? It's like, you know, like you have to embrace your imperfections, because
do.
imperfection is beauty. It's not like, you know,
Exactly.
no one's a robot, you know?
Right. And I love that mirror exercise. And above that as well, it's then looking at it and saying beautiful things to yourself in the mirror. Now, you are going to sound probably pretty crazy and feel pretty crazy the first time you do this. Have you done this? I'm sure
Oh,
you've done
yes,
this. Right.
of course.
So
yeah.
we've both done this multiple times for multiple years. I have a lot of clients do this as well. And it's really kind of confronting for a lot of people. And sometimes you just sit there and you'll just cry because you can't even get anything out. You know, it's kind of nuts when you do this. But if you commit to this, and if you literally commit to saying 10 different things that you love about yourself, it doesn't have to be your body, like anything about you and yourself. And if you do this daily, then all of a sudden it starts shifting your internal language and your patterning and
You
your
show up
DNA and
different,
how you do. It starts shifting everything. It's so powerful. So powerful. Agree, learning to love myself has changed my world. It's massive. It's massive. I feel like that this, everyone just needs to go to like a self-love school, like the moment they have one.
Well, I mean, it's a great question, because from the male point of view, self-love is not really talked about. you know?
Right.
And
Sure,
I'm
it's a lot more
curious.
feminine,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Even when I share it, some of my guy friends are like, "Oh, you do that?" You know, because they don't get it. You know, because many of them don't understand that guys need love too. You know, it's not just
Totally.
like women.
And more than ever
you know,
right
yeah.
now in this society, you know,
Oh
in
my
this
God.
disconnected society
So,
where we've
yeah.
been told that men can't have emotions and they can't cry and this
Can't
and that, and
love
all these
themselves,
stupid
yeah.
rules. Like they need to be loving on themselves more than ever.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. Especially with like social media, because
Yeah.
you know, you go on Instagram and you just go through the news feed. Everyone's living perfect lives, perfect
Yeah.
abs, breasts in the right places. Everything is just like this
Everything's perfect.
amazing, yes. But people are just like judging themselves because they stay naked in the mirror. They're like,
Right.
I don't look like that. That's, you know, this
Yeah.
person is flawless. And now more than ever, it's that self-love, that practice, just like you said,
yes,
looping
God,
in your
when
mind.
all you need is love, we agree. It's really the core of all of
Yeah.
it, right? It really is the core of all of it. John says we would never say anything like that to God. We are a product of Him and He is us, so not loving yourself is a disservice to God and what He has created. Absolutely. Absolutely. Karen, AJ, we should do a live about that. I'm training men in that, but we call it some super masculine shit, not self-love. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm down for that. Listen, I'm more about spreading this message, and it's helped me tremendously. I wish I would have known at a younger age, you know. But
Totally.
I think, men need to learn how to do this early on, and you know, I wish my dad took me aside when I was like 5 or 6 and said, son, this is how you love yourself, you know? He taught me how to shave before I did that. But I think every household should do that with their children as young as possible, so they grow up with this amazing self-love and self-acceptance. Yeah.
Totally. When was there like a defining moment for you where you realized that the self-love piece was a really massive piece, or because you said you didn't grow up with it? Has it been kind of a gradual process, or was there one moment where something smacked you in the face and you're like, oh my God, like?
Yeah, I think it's patterns, right? Patterns show us the areas we need to work on. When you're going through the same experience over and over and over again, and not learning, it's called insanity.
Right.
So I caught myself being in the same exact relationship, attracting the same type of woman, going through the same turmoil over and over and over again. And I'm like, okay, well, I could say that I'm attracting the wrong woman, but there's something that I'm doing to attract them. And I realized that I wasn't loving myself. I was looking for love through the relationship, or looking at filling a void by having someone in my life.
Yes.
And I said, you know what, I'm going to take a break from dating and getting into relationships and work on myself.
Nice.
For 1 year, I just went into this phase of super hardcore inner work to start loving myself, because I couldn't be alone. You know, there's a moment where I had to go on a date with a woman every Saturday night. I had to, have a woman in my life texting, and I was like, wow, I'm getting all my acceptance from them, but I'm not loving myself. I had to go cold turkey and start to practice and generate it myself. And once I became whole, then I was ready to love someone else.
Totally. And I feel like there's so many people that are trying to fill those voids. It's like, and the crazy thing is that if you don't stop like you did, and you don't do the inner work, if you continue on that path, when you get the relationship or the woman or the multiple women or whatever the goal is, right? Whenever you're there, you feel empty, right?
Oh, yes.
Because I'm going to assume you got it, right?
Yeah.
It's like you got there and then it's like, oh, is this really it? And, I did the same thing with money. Like I remember when I moved to Bali and I was technically financially free, right? Earning way more than I knew what to do with, and living a lifestyle where I could do it from anywhere. And I remember sitting there feeling so empty and so unfulfilled, and literally being like, is this it? And what I'd done is I put all my happiness outside of me. I put it into the same thing of let's chase the money and the success and the this and the that, and made it happen. And then I was like, I still feel empty. Like, what's going on? And that's when I realized, okay, there's greater levels of work which need to be done within. And then from that place, it's not either or. Of course you can have the money and the success and the everything and the relationships and the everything, all of it. You can have it all, right? Literally, all at once. But only if you're whole within yourself. And that's where the self-loving comes in.
Well done. That's so beautifully said. And just like the same statement goes for women as well. If you ever have a friend who says, you know what, all guys are assholes. Every guy I meet, he's a dick. He doesn't treat me right. He's this, he's that. Then you have to have that conversation with your friend and be like, why are you attracting this same type of guy that treats you this certain way? Maybe they're not committing, or they're not loving you the way you should be loved. It's hard. It's hard to take that break and work on yourself and heal that area. That's very difficult, because it's easy to jump into another relationship, date someone else, put it under a rug.
It's like a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
just chuck the Band-Aid on this.
Exactly.
I had a friend / client of mine who reached out recently, who is an amazing man, super successful, incredible. I'm not going to name who it is because he's a very well-known person. But he said, Regan, I'm really noticing that I have this need to be validated constantly, like this need to be told I'm the best and I'm this and I'm that, and he said, and I'm really seeking my validation through women, and he said I'm noticing that, you know, I get wrapped up in, be it, you know, a relationship or multiple women or whatever it is. He's like, if it's removed, I'm super empty and I'm looking for the next one to validate me. And we had this beautiful conversation around just realizing that and accepting that and tuning in and looking at, okay, which part of me needs to be validated by myself, right? Which part of me needs to be validated, seen and heard, because it wasn't, maybe in the past, maybe in past lives, maybe in childhood. Like, what part of me wasn't validated when I was 4 years old? That's still trying to fill this gap, right? And then once you do the work and go in there, then, oh my Lord, you have the best on the external world, because you're coming from a healed place, not from a place of trying to fix a wound, you know, by this Band-Aid thing.
Exactly. Right? That's a brilliant concept, you know, the Band-Aid, the comfort blanket, you know, all it's doing is filling that void temporarily, but you could spend decades attracting the wrong people, the wrong circumstances, going through the same hell over and over and over again. You know, that's why, like, people could sometimes say, like, even if you think about reincarnation as being a philosophy, it's about you living a life and you becoming enlightened by the experiences. Because you could live the same life over and over again and think that, okay, well, money is the answer, you know, sex is the answer, greed is the answer, and then you go through this negative experience, and then you're like, all right, let's reset it, let's learn it again, right?
Start again.
Exactly. Every day is the same exact thing, because throughout the day, you're going through these situations, and you have to become aware, is this helping me or hurting me? You know, like, it's tough. It's tough. It's very difficult, you know, to make the change or to stop cold turkey, draw a line in the sand. That's tough. But I'm sure as we're even saying this, like, you're probably thinking about something in your life that you've been putting off or something that needs to change. But now you have permission.
Go, we give you permission to be amazing and big and beautiful and to work.
Yes. Listen, there's stuff in our lives, you know, as well. We're not perfect. There's always another level to get to, but intuitively you know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, and I love that. So I was at Thrive last week, right, speaking at this event in Vegas, and Billy Jean, if you guys know him, he's freaking amazing. He's one of the best marketers, I believe, in the world. And I get to see him like once a year roughly in person, and so we were like, oh my gosh, like catching up, and I was like, how's this? It's like, this is great, and he was like, yeah, this and that, and then we stopped, and he was like, okay, tell me what's really shit, right? Here's his thing, and I was like, well, actually, like, this is going on in business right now and this here, and I was like, what's shit with you? And we're talking about it not from a wallow victim place of, oh, it's all bad, but more so that we can reflect each other, right? More so that we can reflect, and so he can go, well, hey, have you thought about that? And so I can be like, hey, but do you realize you're doing that because of that? And we had this beautiful conversation at this speaker's cocktail party thing where we literally sat there and talked about the shit stuff instead of just bathing in the bliss of like, how is everything's amazing? Oh my God, we already know that. We already know we're both living amazing lives. That's why we're friends, right? But like under that, it's like, okay, let's play and use each other as reflections, which is so cool. Like we do that as well, right? It's like this is coming up. Like if you had
you get so much more from the shit conversations.
So much more. And I feel like sometimes the bliss conversations is just ego validating. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I've done. Here's all this stuff. Like versus like, you know, what do you think about this? And like, have you noticed this? And you know, I can't remember what it was, but at lunch I was telling you, I was like, I felt really scared. I was talking about a mentor of mine who asked to work with me and how all my self-doubt came up and I couldn't even say yes because I felt not good enough. You know, so much stuff, right? But that's the stuff where you get to see yourself.
I appreciated that vulnerability, you know? And the same thing, like, please call me out on my shit as much as you see it, right? Because I appreciate a person who tells me the truth no matter how difficult it is. So if I'm doing something and I'm not aware of it, tell me in that moment, because I will never, ever, ever get mad at anyone who tells me the truth and is honest with me, you know?
Yeah, and even if someone tells you something and you do want to get mad at them, that's okay. But just notice that it's triggering a wound for you, right? Which loops back around to what we talked about earlier. And it's like, oh, okay, that touched me. Like, you know what, that AJ, like, I love you, but you really fucking annoyed me right now. And it's not AJ's fault. What do I need to look at?
Trigger,
Why was I triggered? Like, what is that bringing up for me? And instead of judging that, looking at that as an opportunity of going, okay, where is there something in me which I'm not seeing, which I can shift and heal so I can grow and evolve? Like, it's an amazing thing. I love being around people that trigger me and that make me feel uncomfortable. And, you know, that's one of the first things I did when I was starting my businesses. I went and I was like literally student, studying at university, no idea what I was going to do, nearly 100K in personal debt, right? And I went to this wealth creation event and I got the VIP thing so I could be with all the speakers, right? And I was in this room and they were all, you know, self-made millionaires and really successful, property, this or that. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable. It's like they were speaking a different language. It was literally like, I don't even know how to talk to you, right? And I wanted to, but I felt so intimidated. But instead of shrinking and going, oh my God, I don't fit in here, I'm not at their level, I shouldn't have been in this room, all this stuff like most people do, I was like, okay, let's breathe on this. Like, all right, what's coming up for me? Why don't I feel enough? Like, what is it that I'm not choosing to own within myself? Like, what is it around me that's feeling triggered by their conversations? And really use it to do the work. And this is where I believe the powerful inner work is. Like, yes, you've got to start your day, you've got to journal, you've got to do your practice, all that stuff. But what about the other 23 hours of the day, right? How are you moving through life the rest of the time versus actually just doing, you know, 1 hour and then the rest of the day turns to crap? Steve says, AJ's comedy was awesome.
Steve McNamara, my man.
My man?
Yeah.
He's my man.
We can share him.
We can share you, Steve. What's up? What's Dawn saying?
How do you go from a person who is easy to please, not very materialistic, and never ask for much for life, for a highly successful manifesting master, without feeling like you're asking for too much? You should never feel like you're asking for too much. You know, I mean,
you're worthy and
you deserve all of it, everything. You deserve to have it all without any sacrifice or suffering. You want to have an amazing relationship, an amazing business, health, happiness. You deserve to have it all. So I say, don't hold back.
Yeah, definitely don't hold back. And also get clear on what you want. Like, get clear on what having it all looks like for you. Because you're saying you're not very materialistic. That's great. Like, AJ loves his car.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that he loves his car. I don't have a car.
Yeah. I've recently bought a Bentley convertible.
Exactly.
And I talked about it in my speech because I love it.
He was like so happy. He was sending me all these photos. I was like, good for you. Like, I would never buy that car.
For one person, it could be feeding the hungry. That drives them.
Exactly.
One person wants to buy a $10,000 handbag.
Exactly.
No judgment, right?
Exactly.
No one is better than the other.
And you can do both. Like for example, I just bought a beautiful property in Queenstown, New Zealand with my family, and you know, they're down there right now actually, I believe, which was a big kind of like goal thing I wanted to do, which could be material, right? But then I sat down yesterday with my team, and last year we educated 2,000 kids in India, and we're resetting and looking at, okay, what are we doing in the next 12 months? Like, we want to get to 10,000 children in the next 12 months, but we're also doing material stuff too. So do what feels good for you, and just know that only you are going to give yourself permission to do that. You know, if you're waiting for someone to come around and go, hey AJ, like, think you can get the car now. Right?
Because it's funny, like when I posted on my Facebook that I bought my dream car, it was 10 years in the making, you know? I got like so much love, it was like 800 likes, and at the same time I got a lot of comments. So one comment, this person wrote, why in the hell would you spend $300,000 on that car? You could have fed so many hungry kids in this world, right? So I have two choices: delete this comment, block this person, or actually converse with them. And I decided to converse. I said, thank you for judging me, how I spend my money, and you don't know what type of charity I give my money to. But I want to ask you, what are you doing for the hungry children, right?
Exactly.
So why don't you make this money first and do as you please, as opposed to telling me how to spend my own hard-earned money.
Of course.
Right? Because they judge you based on one investment. They don't see all the other things you do. But that's the way it is. I mean, you know, people work hard for what they do, and never in my life have I ever judged another human being based on how they spend their own money.
Right, and you never know the story behind it. Okay, it's like before you judge like the guy that buys a mansion, you realize all of a sudden like his story is that he lived in a shack, he shared his bed for like, you know, his whole childhood with 4 other siblings. That you just don't know. You just don't know what you're judging. So yeah, I think it really comes down to yourself, giving yourself permission, knowing there is no good or bad or right or wrong. It's literally just like, what do you choose? Like,
Cheers
that's
to that.
amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely want to give to a lot of people. That's my life purpose. Cool, well make that your big goal and give yourself permission to do that. Awesome, it'll come back to you, legends. Appreciate everything about you guys. You're awesome, Steve.
Awesome.
So cool. Steve's, I know, I was about to say Steve's coming to Peru. You're not. I just got all excited. Steve came to Peru last trip.
Oh, cool. Any closing words, Regan?
I feel like we've had a lot of words.
I could just go on and on. How much battery do you have on that?
I know. It's literally like,
Yeah.
oh, that's right. We're in this world and there's time and space.
Yes,
apparently.
part 1 of many, yes.
If you guys give us love and if you guys give us specific comments around what you want us to go off on, we may do this again.
Yes, share more secrets.
Because apparently we're in the same place for the next 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. This is a lot of fun, and these conversations, I get a lot out of it. Regan gets a lot out of it. You get a lot out of it. It's a win-win-win on 3 zones. My buddy Mel Martin, he's actually speaking at my seminar, my online super coach seminar, 2 weeks in New York.
Legend.
He's one of the top speakers there. He's tuning in. Awesome guy. And
so cool.
I guess like what could sum up such a wild and crazy conversation? It's hard to close it with a sentence.
We've talked on so much.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked on comedy, right? We talked on intuition, becoming available. Claire says, don't go.
The simplicity is have more conversations like this,
Right.
Find people that make you forget that you have a phone.
Low power mode. Oh, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. What else did we talk? We gave you some snippets from our secret conversation at lunch, right? We shared some of that. We talked about
financial blocks.
Wow, we had a massive money conversation in there. That was awesome. We talked about looking at wounds and shining light on them. We talked about environment.
Dudes need self-love too.
Right. Yeah. Men absolutely do. Claire says yes, more please. I feel like we probably will go live again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I would love for you guys to let us know so we can be very intentional and specific for you. And we can give you guys what you need and desire. Even if you don't catch us live, of course you can watch the recording.
Watch the replay. I've shared on my page too. Anyone who's watching,
Totally. And if you love this, just share it, guys. Share it around. Let everyone know to jump on. So cool to have you on Godwin Goblins in Melbourne. You're in Melbourne right now. Cool. I'm going to assume you are, but that's very cool. Great way to start the day. Yeah, it's your morning. Great live. Awesome dawn. Where can people find you, AJ, for my folks that are just like falling in love with the AJ now?
Listen, super easy. It's facebook.com/AJ Fit. AJ FIT.
Nice.
Yes. Add me as a friend. Would love to connect with you. And
he's kind of a cool person to be friends with.
So are you. But no, that's such a great point. Like, leave a comment. Like, what would you like to hear more about? Right? If you're watching the replay, what type of content puts you in a flow state? You know, that we can just go because we love to serve. We love to give. You know, as long as we have infinity batteries, we could just talk for days and days and days and days.
Literally.
You know, but her phone's about to die.
We don't need to eat or drink or just like go for it.
This fuels us.
But look, we're both in a place where we can talk deeply about mindset, deeply about lifestyle, deeply about being connected, deeply about growing and running multi-7-figure businesses, what that looks like, doing it location free, internet stuff, internet business. Oh my God,
pants optional, team no pants.
Right, AJ's leading a movement. Yes. People wearing no pads.
Yes.
Pants are optional. Live from Melbourne, absolutely. Definitely do this again, please. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Jane. You're amazing. So, guys, leave us intentional stuff below. We'll gather them, and then we'll jump on maybe in the next couple of days and answer some questions for you guys. Cool. Last words? Last words,
my goal in life is to spend more time in things that give me flow. So the best thing you can do is to look at what you do on a morning to night basis. Every waking second, if you could live in presence, flow, and love, then you won at life.
Yes. Amazing. Steph says you both need to do more of this, Team RHI. I want you guys to give me some love if you would like to see AJ on the cover of Change magazine. Woo! This just came through, Steph. I just got that, Steph. My team's on here.
I'm gonna tell my mom about this. Yeah.
If you guys want to see AJ on the cover of our magazine, which is Change magazine, which is all about featuring amazing thought leaders, doing feature articles, going really deep, we need love, and I'm going to check on that amount of love in a couple of hours once people have watched that. There's so much love. Okay, I didn't even ask you if you wanted to do that, but
I'm honored. I'm like, being a cover of a magazine, that's what I live for, Hell yeah.
Amazing. Well, you guys have been incredible. It's been awesome hanging out with you. And go back and watch from the beginning of this. There's a lot of golden nuggets in there. And thanks for jumping on, right?
Yeah,
super
cool. You. Appreciate it.
Yeah, remember, you can have it all. You can have it all on your terms.
You deserve it all,
You deserve it all, and you can shape it and craft it to be however you desire. So, sending you so much love. You just got on the magazine. Our media manager just said, let's do it.
I made it. I'm someone.
So cool. I love it. All right, guys. Love you so much.
All right.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Ciao.